Hello everyone, dear friends. As you know, I was on a short vacation, if I can put it that way, starting from the 24th. But as you probably already guessed, things couldn't go completely smoothly, and of course I wasn't able to fully disconnect from the market. On the 24th, Mishka came out with a new riddle for the next year, or maybe even further ahead. I picked up my pen, grabbed my notebook, and started trying to solve this puzzle. After all, conspiracy theories or secret messages are an integral, albeit small, part of my channel, Enigma. Of course, I won't be able to tell you about every single detail here. I will definitely highlight the main points. And as for the smallest details, we might make a second part. Right now, those aren't as important as simply understanding the overall picture. So let's get started. First of all, to decipher the message from BEARABLEGUY, we need to determine, of course, the orientation. Is the image mirrored or not? Let's refer to the previous message. This picture was released at 3:21 local time, and besides everything else, 3:21 times or 321 times are the times that Mishka is sending or referring us to. And since 123 times is the positive order of numbers, indicating the growth of XRP itself by changing the positions of the horses on the carousel, which by the way we'll talk about later, so in principle it works the same way. Since this whole year 2024 has been a year of growth, the numbers needed to be read as mirrored, symbolizing that growth. The previous image was read as a mirrored one. I want to reinforce this point. Back then, it helped that Mishka is right-handed, while the knight and the king just confused us because of their swords and the direction of the fur on the king's clothing. So what is happening now? Besides the hint from the numbers themselves and the supposed continuation of the image with greenery, we can look at some important details. Yes, some of the characters could have been upside down, but the overall image was mirrored. So, in the new image, we have the publication times 1, 2, 3, and the king's hand, the one pointing down from the previous message, is the left hand here. Therefore, we should read the image from left to right, just as it was, in fact, posted by Mishka on Twitter. The image is a collection of many previous messages, starting from the ship, the carousel, the castle, and so on. In other words, Mishka is hinting to us that this era might actually come to an end. All the variables have converged here to a point, and as I suspect, the next message might have a somewhat different structure, keeping only the characters. The publication numbers 1, 2, 3, and 321 are, of course, not just numbers. We see the three horses from BEARABLEGUY's publication 2 years ago about the National Carousel Day, which we celebrate on July 25th, where 3, 2, 1 times are supposed to be replaced by 1, 2, 3. This is what Mishka, I emphasize once again, wants and is waiting for. And now, 2 years later, we see how these magical horses have been freed from the times 3, 21, and once again refer us to the changes and times published precisely in this riddle, judging by the time it was posted, 1:23. Let me tell you about the main idea of the riddle, and then we'll also talk about some interesting details that deserve attention. We see three horses. The first one is ridden by Mishka himself, the golden one. The second by regulations. Of course, this is just an assumption. You can talk about the green books, their transparency, and there are references there to the change of the old financial system. That interpretation is valid, but personally, I lean more toward the version with regulations. I expected to see them more colorful, not half empty, but that means it's not the right time yet. And the third horse is a golden knight on a unicorn with a purple horn, most likely representing XRP. Next, we see three paths. And here I think many people naturally feel the urge to connect them. The purple one, the unicorn, leads us to the castle, and this color, as we've discussed before, represents both altcoins in general and XRP specifically. Just like it's shown on the castle's flag, these are the rules of the game. You see that, right? If you count the circle's nights, everything points us to a certain date. I counted the 10th, back and forth, it all leads to the month of May. I suspect that this is a direct reference to how XRP will interact with the financial system, and its use might begin in the middle of the first half of 2025. The golden horse represents Bitcoin. Considering the orange harness and saddle, as well as the color of the scarf on Mishka, we can recall the color of the Bitcoin pot from the previous greenhouse riddle. Accordingly, he is heading towards the pearl. As for Mishka, we can say that he now has 3 stars on his hat. He is our sheriff, and next to the stars you can see a purple band. Thus, BEARABLEGUY might have been referring us to the 3rd growth cycle, just like we had with Bitcoin, and also the drought of these sunflowers. But with XRP, we've only had 2 cycles so far. Accordingly, the sheriff is promising us a 3rd cycle for XRP, which is certainly good news for us. After all, it's hard to imagine, even setting XRP aside, growth happening specifically with it, while excluding growth in other altcoins. That's settled. And thirdly, accordingly, the horse with green regulations is heading somewhere into the water, or perhaps to a place that even BEARABLEGUY can't imagine or refers to, where everything is regulated. It will end up not under the CFTC and will simply fade away. Before we catch the main message, let's pay close and careful attention to the bear's teeth just for a brief moment and do a little adjustment or manipulation with the picture. If the previous one could be divided into 12 calendar months by the window panes here, by counting the upper row of teeth, which are 10, you can create a grid that divides the picture into 10 equal parts, and the bear's downward pointing canines may indicate corrections or declines. These are the 4th and 8th teeth. The first one is depicted as a saw. So, according to this picture, at the 4th and 8th divisions, one can expect corrections or local peaks. After all, these are the canines. And after the local peaks, a correction begins. It's important to note this. In this simple way, just like in the previous riddle with the leaves, we can use the 2 canines marked here in the picture as local peaks. The first one falls in April-May, and the second in September-October. An interesting detail is that the 4th tooth coincides, as you can see, with the regulations, just like it was in the greenhouse, supposedly symbolizing that a correction may occur under new regulatory rules. As for the 8th tooth, that's September-October for us, and it corresponds to the pearl. I'll say right away that the pearl may represent the peak of Bitcoin, and I will definitely explain why later. In summary, just like in the previous riddle, we can use the foliage to navigate throughout the year, but we shouldn't forget about the key months. For us, that's April to August, a decline if we look at the foliage accordingly. But if we look at the squares and the fangs, the first peak is in May, followed by a decline, the second is in September-October, which are local peaks, and then we see another decline. Now let's go through the details in the picture from left to right. As for the king, you can see he has lost a hand, his eyes have changed color, and on the sides, on the trees, we see a code. I didn't really have to dig deep into the code myself, thanks to one of my subscribers, Anton. By the way, shout out to you. The first code refers to a post about Ripple and Ledger from 6 years ago, symbolizing the roots and origins of the project. The second code is a Christmas message from 3 years ago, when the bull market of 2021 was just beginning. This is, of course, a reminder about cycles, hope, and the promises made to the community. Our king has become a pirate and the key is up his ass. Perhaps this is a reference to Tether and its unfortunate fate as a possible example of market manipulation. He has also lost 6 fingers, meaning a hand and 1 finger. And the hook could be a symbol of a question, or perhaps nothing at all. As for the number on the fingers, after trying various methods of counting and calculation, I arrived at 54. Let's see what that leads to. Moving on. Our bear is now a sheriff. Here, aside from the fact that the horse is the color of USD or gold, I can't add anything new, or rather, I won't. As for the translucent books, as I mentioned, I'll consider them as regulations, although they could also be a reference to the 3 green books of the US and the financial market. The new nightly golden dollar, like the horse, could be RLUSD and correspond to the flag on the castle. Where do we have USD? In yellow. If you look at the castle and relate it to the paths, then on the first golden path we have the bear on his golden horse and the USDT dollar flag. Yes. This may suggest that manipulation with the digital dollar, it's important to note, is quite possible. And the knight in armor of the same golden color will help with the transition from USDT, embodying XRP, specifically to their stablecoin. After all, the color itself is the clue and the key to the whole picture. This road then leads further to the sea of liquidity. And besides, the knight also has a Bitcoin crown. Walking along this road, Bitcoin can absorb this liquidity. After all, the most important thing is that the hands have changed, and now the crown has been passed to the knight, which, in fact, I've been telling you about for quite some time. As for the castle itself, or the castle of the financial system, one important detail has changed. It's clear that the manipulator has surrendered, waving a white flag at us. XRP. XRP has become the highest flag, positioned at the greatest height, which could indicate that XRP will soon become number 1 on CoinMarketCap. And once again, of course, this refers us back to the game 1, 2, 3. Although, to be honest, it's very hard to believe. We can also see the missing brick here. We're waiting for Santa from the previous riddle to finally bring it, so that everything falls into place. As usual, there can be various references here, starting from bricks and ending with the idea that this piece is the court case that dragged on for so long, and they are waiting for the process to finally be completed, this time for good. Bringing everything together. The mast on a ship is the highest point, and it is May that may turn out to be the peak. After summer, we begin to see a decline in regulations, after which we reach the edge of the forest. Those same regulations and their rules. And here, the paths diverge, with each asset class having its own route. Apparently, the green path and the white horse in the middle may fade into oblivion. And here it turns out that my assumptions that before the regulations, guys, they should show growth and perform their final swan song. All these words of mine are confirmed by the illustration. Based on the forecast, my analysis was of course more predictable, since I already assumed that there could be a drop during the regulations, and that these regulations would take place with classification under the CFTC, which would correspond to commodities for us, and accordingly, securities would continue to be handled by the SEC. Everything that is classified under the CFTC and accordingly as a commodity will continue to grow. And after this drop, Bitcoin's move toward the pearl becomes quite obvious. That is, as I've already said, Bitcoin is heading toward the pearl. The pearl to me personally resembles the moon. I've read various references from myths to superstitions, and they all talk about exactly this. It may also suggest that the peak for Bitcoin will be reached specifically in 2025, at least for this cycle. Everything points to the second half of 2025. All the factors that have been pulling us, like the Fed's rates, geopolitical upheavals, and the arrival of that very regulatory policy, the picture has fully confirmed my assumptions. Overall, guys, The outlook is bright and green for us, in line with all the classic signs of growth. Why did we predict growth for the fourth quarter of 2024 and its continuation into 2025 a year ago? I think you all remember, and this should help you connect everything with this picture. Why did we predict growth for the fourth quarter and its continuation into 2025 a year ago? I think you all remember, even the video on the public channel from December 24th confirmed this for the 100th time and basically reflected my own thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this review, guys. I might make a second part. I wish you a happy new year, and as always, may the X's be with you. Bye, guys.